Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and non-binaries. Welcome to the Chamber of the Wraith. Well, I guess
Are we recording?
Yes, we are.
Oh, okay. Do you not want me to be recording my end this time?
No, please do, because,
okay.
Please do, because I figure with our audio combined, we will have the best audio experience. Just let me know when you're ready, and I'll do the thing again.
Okay. Yeah, desktop audio muted. I am recording now.
Wonderful. Okay, let's take it from the top. Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and non-binaries. Welcome to the Chamber of the Wraith. My name is Barbara. Yes, you heard that correctly. And I am joined by Honey.
Is that correct?
That is indeed correct. I did this on Twitter, and I actually don't think I told the Wraithcast server room, but I told a couple of the other Discord servers, but yeah, I'm out as a trans woman now. Yes! And before you...
Fantastic name.
And yes, I know, Barbara is the name of my favorite comic character of all time, but I literally... It just clicked so nicely. If it helps, my middle name is not Joan, it's Roxanne, so...
Well, I assume also your last name isn't Gordon.
No, it is not. And I don't plan on changing it to Gordon because I already have an important Gordon in my life, and he was my therapist.
Fair enough.
But no, I'll just keep the family name because I feel that's the right thing to do. But you know, in the spirit of pride and coming out and all that important stuff, I figured I'd get it out of the way from the top.
That's a fantastic first episode for Pride Month.
Yeah, it's for the Pocket Monster power-up, but god damn it, it's perfect. So, especially considering that, let me double check and make sure, yes we are, especially considering that the first Pokemon we'll be talking about is Blossom.
Blossom.
The branch evolution for the Oddish line, which, for some reason the pictures are bugged on my end on Bulbapedia. Maybe they're going through some sort of shuffle-fuffle, but yeah, or no, it just didn't load. But yeah, this was the branch evolution that happened to one of the Kanto poison grass types that never happened to Victory Bell in them, which is a little upsetting.
Yeah, like the idea of new stone evolutions for other stone evolutions. I think that's a cool gimmick.
Yeah.
It is a PU Pokemon.
Well, let me guess. Let me see if I can guess what it's doing in PU. It is a Chlorophyll Sweeper.
Yes.
I freaking knew it, because its ability is Chlorophyll, which is already a pretty good ability. Its speed is not great, but it has respectable special attack. Especially for PU, and its defenses are actually really solid. 95 base defense, 100 base special defense, 75 HP.
It also has access to Quiver Dance.
Oh, that explains a lot.
Yes.
Quiver Dance is an amazing move for this thing to have. How does it learn it? Hold on.
Also, this is a big thing.
Oh.
It has Strength Sap as well.
Oh, that is so cool. Okay, so it gets Quiver Dance as a level 1 move because it's a stone evolution. And that's the only way to get it. How does it get Strength Sap? Oh, it gets it from the Shiinotic line. Cool. So you breed it with Shiinotic to get Strength Sap. You give it Quiver Dance.
And give it Giga Drain and either Moonblast or Safeguard.
What does Safeguard do again?
For 5 turns, protects the party from status effects.
Ooh, that's very strong. Hey, why did I get error 503? I guess Blossom doesn't want to cooperate, but
yeah. So to read off the Smogon list board in Sun and Moon, let's see if it's in Sword and Shield.
It should be.
Sword and Shield. It seems to have the same exact moveset, but nothing's actually written about it. So I'll go back to the Sun and Moon description. Blossom's exclusive access to both Strength Sap and Quiver Dance provides it with a unique leash. The first of Velossum's great niches is a sweeper lies in strength sap, which increases its longevity while making upwards lack of defensive investment, allowing Velossum to force physical attackers such as Girder and Stellan to switch out after lowering their attack. Quiver Dance allows Velossum to avoid becoming overwhelmed by special attackers, outspeed and deal significant damage to neutral and super effective targets, and even sometimes sweep if Velossum's checks and counters are removed or weakened. However, Velossum has incredibly average stats before boosting. It can cause it to be overwhelmed by physical special wall breakers such as Alolan Eradicate and Nasty Plot Jinx, or outsped by the likes of Choice Scarf Dodrio and Slush Rush Alolan Fan Slash, which can OHKO or two-hit KO it. Okay.
So the main issue, clearly its main issue is its speed.
No, actually, its main issue is its bulk.
Which is weird because it's got base 100 special defense.
It's the
must be the 75
has
HP.
Decent bulk. I think what it needs actually is HP boost.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. It's like clearly its defense stats themselves are up to snuff. It's the HP stat that might need some love.
Yeah, and I think just like a 10-point boost to HP with that, like it already has a really solid, unique niche as a strength sap chlorophyll sweeper.
Yeah.
Just making it slightly bulkier would probably be all it really needs.
Indeed. And this is my personal hypothesis, because this would be busted in doubles. Imagine if this thing got the Dancer ability, which, for those who don't know, is an ability...
It only has 2 abilities.
Yeah, its hidden ability is Healer, and Chlorophyll is its other ability. And it has been known that Pokemon get new abilities sometimes because...
usually if a Pokemon has only 2 abilities, you're very open to give it a third.
Yep.
And giving it Dancer would probably be a really... I mean, it's literally a hula dancer.
Yeah, and like I said, Pelipper got Drizzle in Generation 7, and that's what made it viable in the first place. However...
Introduced specifically?
Well, apparently Bulbapedia wants to be evil to me today, so give me a second. Let me see if I can do a workaround here. Maybe Bulbapedia is just bugged right now and I have to go check out Cerebi. Let's see. Cerebi's working. Okay. When another Pokemon uses a dance move, it can use a dance move following it regardless of its speed. And moves that count as dances include Dragon Dance, Fiery Dance, Lunar Dance, Petal Dance, Quiver Dance.
They give priority to all speed moves.
Well, no, it gives a priority specifically to dancing moves by...
Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant. A priority to dance moves, yeah.
Yeah, by having it copy the dance moves of somebody else. So I've seen this video where in Pokemon Showdown you can kind of set up triple battles, even though triple battles stopped being a thing in Generation 7, where you can have 3 Oricorios, and if the... because Oricorio is the only Pokemon that gets Dancer as an ability, you can have them copy an opponent that does Dragon Dance, and all of them do Dragon Dance. So then if their allies also do a dance, the other Oricorio will do that dance too. So theoretically,
okay, I'm not really following. This is kind of confusing.
Okay, sorry. The point is that in a double battle situation, let's say you have a Dragon Dancer that opponents will want to take off of the market because, you know, Dragon Dance is a dangerous ability. But you also have Blossom with Dancer. So what you could do is you can have Blossom do Quiver Dance, have your ally do Dragon Dance, and then effectively that Blossom's done has basically double danced in that turn, doubling its speed and bolstering its special stats as well.
Okay, so copies the effects gained from any dance move done by another person.
Exactly, and it allows it to move again afterwards.
Wait, so it actually like makes 2 actual actions. It doesn't just gain the speed. It doesn't just gain the effects.
No, exactly. Like if a Pokemon uses, say, Fiery Dance, which is Volcarona's move, it's an 80 power fire type move, then Blossom will also use Fiery Dance and also use whatever move it used in that turn. So,
that's ridiculously broken.
the only reason why it's not broken is because it's exclusive to Oricorio, which is not a great Pokemon. But giving it to the PU Blossom,
yeah, Blossom's not that great of a Pokemon either, and it's a Hula Dancer. It deserves to get the Dancer ability.
Indeed. Plus, imagine in doubles, this thing being paired up with Volcarona and getting 2 Quiver Dances off in the same turn.
Mm-hmm.
That would be insane, and I love it. Next up, we have we have Peekaboo, aka Azumarill.
One of the titular was broken immediately as soon as it got its hidden ability.
No, actually, it's always had huge power.
Oh.
But Sap Sipper was definitely a big help for it.
Okay.
Because its abilities are Thick Fat, which gives it a resistance to fire and ice, which it really doesn't need. It's already a water type. And it's got huge power, which doubles its physical attack stat, not its base physical attack stat. Sap Sipper, which gives it a grass immunity and buffs its physical attack stat, which is great for a water type. And then in Gen 6, the damn thing got a fairy type.
Yeah. It keeps getting these incidental buffs all over the place.
Also, its stats are not bad. I mean, its base stat total is 420, with 100 base HP, 80 base defenses, 60 base special attack, and 50 base speed and physical attack. Which that physical attack is moot because of huge power.
Yeah, its bulk is actually really decent, and that attack becomes 100 when it has huge power.
Well, it doubles, right? So it becomes, like, at level 100, it becomes 436, which is insane. Also, Fairy Water, as a typing, is actually pretty strong, because it's weak to 3 types, and resists 8. Or 6. It resists 6 types, and is immune to Dragon. So, defensively, this is not bad. What is it offensively like for stab coverage? Oh, it is perfectly neutral and hits 1/3 of all Pokemon for super effective damage. I love it. So what's it doing?
It's an OU. Sun and Moon. Let's see if it's in Sword and Shield. Oh, it even has a bio about it. It's in UU.
In Sword and Shield, which is still not bad. I mean, this thing gets
it's in UU
super
and OU,
power.
honestly.
Wow, it also gets
the OU one doesn't have a listing on it, but it has a moveset, but it doesn't have any descriptions.
Right. So what's it doing in UU?
In UU, it is a choice band sweeper.
That makes sense.
So using the huge power boost, it is an offensive powerhouse and effective wall breaker. When equipped with Choice Band, due to huge power, being able to nearly 2-hit KO the entire tier with the right move. It can also utilize a belly drum set to be a scary late game sweep cleaner. Water Fairy is. Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, this thing also gets belly drum.
As if this thing. Okay, this is an aquatic Easter egg rabbit. And it hits harder than some of the legendary Pokemon in this game. It's ridiculous.
It also, Water Fairy is great offensive typing, allow it to beat key threats like Excadrill and Hydreigon, access to great coverage moves such as Knock Off and Ice Punch, lets Azumarill break past Pokemon like both Canyon and Amoonguss that would otherwise check it by resisting its stab combination, while access to Aqua Jet allows it to also be a great revenge killer, especially against top threats like Lycanroc, D, and Azelf that have taken chip damage. Azumarill also has decent natural bulk and great defensive typing, which allows her to blanket check some of the most dangerous threats in the metagame, such as Komao and Salamence. Unfortunately, Azumarill is quite slow due to its forced Honey is not in speaking mode today. Unfortunately, Azumarill is quite slow, so it is easily forced out by faster Pokemon such as Jirachi and Thundurus T when it is not boosted with Belly Drum. Additionally, Rotom Wash and faster grass types like Tapu Bulu and Zarude can revenge kill Belly Drum Azumarill, as they can stomach a +6 Aqua Jet.
Yep.
Okay, I did not realize Tapu Bulu and Zarude were that bulky.
Oh, like, okay, Zarude I don't know anything about, but Tapu Bulu, man, this thing is ridiculous. Like, all the... God damn it. Yeah, Tapu Bulu is insane, as far as Pokemon go. Like, it's one of the guardians of the region, so it makes perfect sense. But, like, just looking at this thing's stats, it's got 115 physical defense, 95 special defense, 70 HP, access to the grassy terrain summoning ability, and it being a grass type means it resists water types.
Yeah. Also, actually, I was wrong. It doesn't just have a choice band set.
Oh.
It has a choice band set, a belly drum set, and an assault vest set.
Okay, assault vest makes perfect sense for this thing. I mean, with huge power and super effective damage on its stat for 1/3 of the entire game, you don't strictly need to boost. Like, the boost to its physical attack is nice, and it's totally warranted. But, like, if you just want this thing to just basically be
tank.
Yeah, and just clean up a weakened team with Aqua Jet and be able to take some hits, Aqua Jet makes perfect sense. Or Assault Vest makes sense.
Big worry, if you want this thing as a revenge killer and your big worry is a special attacker in the meta, you put this on an Assault Vest set. If you're not worried about, like, specifically special attackers, you throw on the choice band.
Exactly. If you got coverage for special attackers, give this thing a choice band or belly drum. And if it's all about what your team has. Azumarill's flexible.
Yeah, the belly drum especially is very scary.
Yeah, you just have to give it the right kind of support, but that's not hard. So
no, yeah. So what is the next one? Because we don't need to do a damn thing to help Azumarill. It's in OU and UU.
Yep, it's fine.
And EDSP OU as well.
Yep. This Pokemon definitely needs help, and one of my friends actually believed it was a legendary Pokemon because you can only get one of them in Gold, Silver, and Crystal. Sudowoodo.
Oh yes, I love Sudowoodo, but this Pokemon is garbage.
Base stat total of 410 with 115 physical defense, 100 base physical attack, a surprisingly respectable 65 special defense, okay HP at 70 base HP, and absolutely atrocious 30 base special attack and speed. Like, I'm genuinely, like, I think this thing gets outsped by, like, Geodude.
Yeah, this thing is untiered. It's in PU, but it's in Sun and Moon, but it's listed as untiered.
So don't use this thing. I've always thought that Sudowoodo could make an interesting candidate for a Trick Room team.
That definitely could be interesting. It does actually have an article on Smogon in for the Sun and Moon. Its access to the coveted combination of Head Smash and Rock Head may seem appealing at first, but this attribute is also shared by Aggron, which is far better due to its secondary typing, speed, power, and bulk. Other rock types such as Heracross and Lycanroc possess setup moves and have more reliable priority than Sudowoodo. While it does possess some interesting moves such as Wood Hammer and Sucker Punch, Sudowoodo lacks anything to prevent it from being outclassed from its superior rock type brethren in PU due to its terrible speed and average power. The objective of its set, which is a choice band set with Head Smash, Earthquake, Sucker Punch, and Wood Hammer, its attempt is to be a wall breaker, mainly with Head Smash. It can hit Mudsdale harder than Aggron's Ice Punch and Wood Hammer, and does have access to a decently strong priority attack in Sucker Punch, but otherwise Choice Band Aggron outclasses it in every way. I don't know also, is there a Trick Room even, like, setter in PU?
In singles, generally, no. Generally in singles, you never put a Trick Room or room setup on your team. That's more of a doubles thing. But as for a Trick Room setter, I guess Bulbapedia really just wants to be on my nerves today. Let me see. Porygon Z, no. Diancie, no. Hoopa, absolutely not. Oranguru, no. Your best bet are some of the not fully evolved Pokemon, it seems, like Abra and Slowpoke. Maybe.
Like, those already been good, not fully evolved.
Well, Abra is actually really strong, but, you know,
Okay.
you're not using Abra to set up Trick Room. You're using Abra, believe it or not, as a physical attacker with one special move. It's weird, because it's Fire Punch, and it's bizarre. But, Duskull at a push? Like, there's...
Duskull's not bad. Duskull's a pretty good Pokemon.
Yeah, it's also, for a not fully...
I don't think Duskull's not in PU, is it?
I don't know.
Because I remember Duskull was actually, it is in Little Cup, not in PU at all.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it's not good enough for PU.
Yeah, no.
But
like none of these they're either too strong or not fully evolved.
Yeah.
Like unless Aromatisse is in NU.
Aromatisse, I don't know how to spell that, so I won't be able to look it up.
Aromatisse.
It is in PUBL. It is too strong for PU.
Damn it! It ended up on the ban list!
Okay, in Sword and Shield, he was put into PU normally.
Okay, so...
But Sudowoodo is not in Sword and Shield.
God damn it! They really don't want to put this thing on a Trick Room team. Okay, next up...
Assuming this thing gets printed in Scarlet and Violet with Aromatisse, and there is there could be a setup for a Trick Room team in PU with this thing. Do you think that alone would make Sudowoodo good enough? Because 30 speed in a Trick Room team with access to Head Smash and Rockhead, that is a pretty solid combination.
I think it is actually enough I think it is fully enough for Sudowoodo to at least be looked at.
Yeah.
So I will give them the benefit of the doubt and say that I think with that, people will at least try Sudowoodo, and they might find a surprising amount of success with it.
Mm-hmm.
Next up is a Pokemon that really, really loved getting its hidden ability, Politoed.
Oh, Politoed. Also one of the most misspelled names in Pokemon.
Yep, because it is T-O-E-D, not T-O-A-D. I am guilty of making this mistake.
I had to double check immediately before I clicked enter.
Yeah, all the goddamn time. It is a
PU Pokemon at the moment, though. Because Drizzle is banned.
Yep. I'm not surprised because of Swift Swim shenanigans. This thing used to actually...
It's an RU right now in Sword and Shield.
When it's using its Drizzle shenanigans?
Yeah, it is using Drizzle and is in Sword and Shield as in RU.
Okay. I think that's fine. I mean, it's a pretty boring niche, but it's a niche all the same.
Yeah, I mean, the weather setters will always be kind of boring, but they're always going to be a very specific set of Pokemon that are all going to have a very specific niche.
Plus, it's got respectable bulk, and if you really wanted to try and make this thing attack in the rain, it's got 90 special attack.
Yeah, I mean, it has Scald, Encore, Toxic, or Hypnosis, depending on which type status mode you want to do, and then Ice Beam, or Perish Song, or Rest.
Yeah, so it's got options, and it is more of a support Pokemon anyway. So, plus it's an RU, so...
In my opinion, every tier should have some weather setter. I think that is like a niche that should exist in every tier. Like, there should be a weather setter for every weather in every tier.
I could totally get behind that. Next up is the Hoppip line, specifically Jumpluff.
I am a huge Jumpluff fan. I love its design. I love just the aesthetic of these things. I hate how hard it is to level them up. Because Hoppip suffers from Magikarp syndrome, where the only move it knows for the longest time is Splash.
Well, thankfully that seems to be partially remedied in Sword and Shield, at least, because Hoppip evolves at level 18, and it gets 2 attacking moves in Tackle and Fairy Wind.
Yes! It's super bad.
Oh, that's hilarious! And if you're lucky, you might get one with Absorb, but, like, oh, as bad as... okay, it appears on Route 205 at level...
Yeah, it's actually a rather easy Pokemon to catch. It's one of the more common Johto Pokemon.
Yeah.
It's just not very good, especially in, like, casual, just try to play the game, because offensive stats are really bad, and support Pokemon are not easy to make work in the actual game, because the game doesn't actually... Like, a lot of the moves needed to make setup Pokemon good are often only given in the late game.
Yeah.
Or they require extensive breeding practices, which someone first playing the game for the first time isn't going to know how to do. Or it's going to be or just the game is too easy that you don't need a setup Pokemon. It's just like, why bother running a Jumpluff on your team when you could just run a Meganium, which has better special attack to hit people with?
Yeah. Plus, with this is just a personal aesthetic thing. I actually prefer how the beta Hophead line looked because they had tails and they really fit into the grass.
Wait, they got rid of their tails?
They got rid of their tails and replaced them with limbs.
Aww, I mean, the Hoppup doesn't have it anymore, but Jumpluff still has a little tail.
Yeah, that's close enough. I don't mind, but yeah, it's like it leans more to the plant cat aesthetic thing, which is very cool. Anyways, Jumpluff, what is it doing?
Okay, it is so I'm actually imagining that back in Black and White, yep, it was a acrobatic flying gem user, which is that is a niche I really like, and I wish they would bring back. I wish they'd bring back the gems.
They did actually in Sword and Shield.
Oh, they did.
But the gems got nerfed. Instead of being a 50% one-time attack boost, it's now a 30% one-time attack boost.
Gotcha. Jumpluff also doesn't appear to wasn't in Sword and Shield, sadly.
No, its appearance in the 8th generation is Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl.
And sadly, its biggest thing was it was an acrobatic user, because it's still being in Sword, Sun, and Moon. It's still being forced to use acrobatics, but doesn't have access to any gems anymore.
It doesn't have access to the gems in Sun and Moon for sure.
Yeah.
Let me see.
But yeah, it is a Sword Stance, Strength Sap, Sleep Powder, acrobatic sweeper. Its literal best move that it could be using for stab to sweep with is acrobatics,
which requires it to lose its item. So what item is it running?
It can't run an item.
Unless it's like a berry.
It's not running any item at all. No item.
Huh. I guess when you have base... Well, you have base 75 HP and base 95 special defense, but you have base 70 physical defense and have a 4 times weakness to ice, so I suppose running a berry would be pointless.
Yeah, it has the Infiltrator ability, which lets it ignore Substitute as well as the Barrier abilities.
Yeah.
Which, if this thing was in Sword and Shield, this would be super good because of how broken Aurora Veil was in Sword and Shield.
True, but the trouble is that Aurora Veil is on ice types, and this thing is deathly allergic to ice with its grass flying type.
That is true. Actually, one thing I would give this maybe is, what is that priority grass move that's, like, that move that gains priority when in grassy terrain?
A, it's Grassy Glide, B, it wouldn't work. Because the Pokemon has to be grounded for that effect to work, and because it's a flying type, it doesn't get any of the benefit from the terrains.
Oh my god, that is so stupid.
Yep. here's an idea actually. All this thing needs is an item that it can discard that can help it. One really popular thing to do for Pokemon we talked about earlier, Hitmonlee in Generation 3.
Actually, I have one. I have an item for it.
Shoot.
It actually already exists. Weakness policy.
Oh god, if you'd have to be.
This thing actually has really respectable special defense. Is Triple Axle a special attack or a physical attack?
It's a physical attack, and it gets stronger with every 3 hits. You are kind of onto something. If this thing switches into a special fire, poison, flying, or rock type attack, then weakness policy would work.
Mm-hmm.
You know what you might be able to do? you might be able to run a Focus Sash on this thing.
Possibly. That depends on if you're worried more about physical attackers, because it has... Okay, it's got only 75 HP, but it does have a respectable 95 special defense.
Yeah, but most ice attacks are still 4 times super effective on it, which is probably going to flatten Jumpluff. But you give this thing a Focus Sash. If we take a look, like what is it set? What is its current setup again? Acrobatics.
Sword Stance, Strength Sap, Sleep Powder, and Acrobatics.
Okay, fantastic. So you can shoot for a Sleep Powder or Sword Stance, eat up a hit, especially if you Sword Stance beforehand, with a Focus Sash, and then just go to town with Acrobatics. And if this thing gets Reversal, which it does not, that's unfortunate.
It just needs a better Flying or Grass type stab move.
What are its Grass type moves that are physical anyway? Because it gets Giga Drain and Bounce.
Bounce is bad.
Dynamax, that would actually not be bad, because a lot of Pokemon are running Bounce and Fly in the Dynamax format, because Max Airstream is freaking stupid.
Yeah.
Aerial Ace is not great power-wise. Does it not get a single good... okay, it gets C-Bomb, which does not have a secondary effect, despite it being 80 base power.
Huh. Decent-ish move.
Yeah, but that is Seed Bomb as a Grass type move, but it doesn't have anything for a Flying type attack. Like, it doesn't get Brave Bird, which would be antithetical to this thing because of recoil.
A lot of the powerful Flying type moves are very specifically reliant on having wings or bird-like qualities. This thing is a Flying type Pokemon with no bird-like qualities.
Yeah, because
you can't even put dual wing feet.
Because its theme is wind, right? So
yeah, it's flying type because it's cotton floating in the air.
That's rather unfortunate. Well, hold on. Let me double check something really quick.
Oh, actually, here's something that's absolutely insane. This thing has 110 speed and chlorophyll.
Yeah. And I'm really glad that... Yeah, that's... I mean, I see why they run Infiltrator.
Also, Leaf Guard.
Which prevents it from status conditions when it's sunny out. Anyway...
Yeah, so this thing's designed to be functioning in weather. But I guess, I don't know why. Were screens that big of a problem in Sun and Moon that it needed the Infiltrator ability?
Well, I mean, screens in general are annoying, so...
Fair enough. I guess just having chlorophyll is kind of overkill.
Exactly. It's sunk cost fallacy, I think is what it's called, where if you put too much resources into something, it kind of loses its punch.
That's not sunk cost fallacy. Sunk cost fallacy is where you invested too much into something that you cannot give up anymore.
So I didn't get it quite right, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's just...
Yeah, it's the same reason why Kartana doesn't actually run a Choice Band. It runs a Choice Scarf.
Fair enough.
But anyways, yeah. So this thing, really, it just needs a more compatible item, like a Focus Sash or a Weakness Policy, some kind of berry, something that.
Here's the thing. Here's an idea. So you know how, Black Sludge is a strictly better leftovers, only for poison types.
Yeah.
What if there was a strictly better gem that was only for flying types?
Or something consumable.
Something that was consumable, that was, if you're using a flying type move, this, if a flying type Pokemon makes a flying type attack while using this, it's consumed and gives them a +2 attack boost. It's basically a double sword. It gives you a Sword Stance boost to both attack and special defense, special attack, but only if a flying type Pokemon uses it, and then and uses a flying type attack.
Actually, I like the idea, but I think you're looking at the wrong stat. I think just because it's got Sword Stance already, you could run Sword Stance and give it this ability that boosts its speed. This would also help other flying types that might be slower. And then Jumpluff suddenly is stupid fast. You need 0 investment in speed at that rate. Put all of your investment into physical attack, and yeah, this thing suddenly becomes scary.
Well, flying Pokemon in general don't really need speed boost. Like, on average, flying and electric type Pokemon tend to have the highest base speed among all Pokemon.
Well, that's true.
So I don't think, like, giving flying type Pokemon in general a speed booster is all that necessary. Let's actually read what their small gun thing is for its Sun and Moon thing to see what it says about it. It's a niche Pokemon due to its ability to provide utility support for its teammates. Swords Dance and Strength Zap can turn it into an unexpected offensive threat, bolstered by its nice speed tier. Jumpluff has several other great utility moves such as Sleep Powder, Memento, and U-Turn, allowed to support its teammates fairly effectively. Jumpluff also supports a decent typing that gives it immunity to toxic spikes and resistance to water fighting and grass, though a weakness that Stealth Rock can hamper its longevity. However, its typing also gives it other exploitable weaknesses such as a nasty 4x weakness to ice, 2x weakness to fire and flying. On top of this, Jumpluff is quite frail and can't do much outside of support role. Jumpluff also can't afford to hold an item such as leftovers because it needs a boosted acrobatics due to its abysmal attack, which remains underwhelming even with a Swords Dance boost.
Wait a minute.
This thing needs an attack boost. It doesn't need a speed boost.
Okay, that's true. So maybe it's not even necessarily an item. It just needs a straight up attack boost.
A straight up attack boost and a better flying stab. I'm assuming that it's specifically referring to flying stab as a big thing because flying has better coverage than grass does.
Let me double check. Grass hits ground, rock, and water, and is resisted by. Is that right? It's resisted by 7 separate types? Yeah, flying, poison, bug, steel, fire, grass, dragon. Yikes. How about flying? Oh, well, flying is only resisted by 3 types, and it hits 3 types for super effective damage.
Okay, yeah. Having fewer resistances, that's why it's specifically relying on a flying stab.
Yeah. If it had a good grass type stab, the only thing that would resist it is steel. But back to flying. Let me take a look at the flying type attack dex and see if I can find anything. Because I'm thinking what it needs is
attack and special attack are the same, so you don't have to worry about which stab is using.
Okay. And which hits harder. I mean, Aero Blast is a signature move. It doesn't get access to Air Slash, and that could be fun. Plus, you could get the hacks going.
Air Slash could work.
This has to be a Legends Arceus move. Bleak Wind Storm. Yeah, it's a Tornadus' signature move in Legends Arceus.
Okay.
Okay, so maybe not that one. Chatter, no. Dual Wing Beat doesn't work. This cannot work because that is a Let's Go exclusive move. Hurricane is 70% accurate.
And this thing's not a ranged Pokemon.
Oblivion Wing is Yveltal's signature move. Skydrop would be hilarious, but it doesn't really work for Jumpluff.
Nope.
I mean, it would be hilarious. Plus, it would stop the opponent from moving for a turn, so it's not terrible. But yeah, like there really isn't a lot of like flying type moves that are not signature moves that Jumpluff could benefit from that makes sense. Because it's really like it really is all the flying type moves that they have. He needs this thing needs a new flying type move. Hell. Wait a minute. Yeah, hell, just give it a new, like, wind-based flying type move, and then you should be okay. As long as it's got at least 80 base power, I don't care about secondary effects at that point. It's just...
Is there a move called Slipstream?
As it stands, no, there is not. Oh, wait, I spelled it wrong. Still, that does not exist.
Okay. Is there a move that's like, is there a flying type equivalent to Rock Slide?
That hits 2 opponents and has a chance
or
to
just
flip?
has a flinch chance. Flying type attack that has a flinch chance.
Oh, wait. You could give it Air Cutter if it has a crit stuff, but Air Slash, I believe, Air Slash has a 30% chance to flinch.
Air Slash is flinch. Yeah, that is correct. Air Slash is a flinch move.
Let me.
Never mind. Air Slash is the flying type equivalent of Rock Slide.
Yeah, the only thing is I don't know if it hits multiple opponents. Then again, it wouldn't really need to in singles.
No, I was just thinking like, but no. Okay, so I like the name Slipstream. I think that's a good move name.
Also, this thing does not get Air Slash, so just give it Air Slash.
Yeah, just give it Air Slash, yeah, honestly. Air Slash fits is exactly what it is. It's like, it is a wind-based flying type Pokemon. Give it a wind-based move. Just Air Slash.
Exactly, and you know what? It could actually run an item, too. And that specific item will make this thing annoying.
Yeah.
Because it's running Air Slash, right? Which has a flinch chance. But,
Give it King's Rock?
Give it King's Rock. Make this thing a flinching monster. Hell, this thing could even run Parahax bullshit because it has access to Stun Spore.
Yeah. Stun Spore and that super high speed. This thing would be an annoying Parahaxer.
Okay, so that literally all this thing needs is Air Slash, and then I genuinely think this thing will find use in maybe even as high as RU.
Yeah, I agree.
If I'm going to be optimistic, which I mean, I'm allowed to be optimistic.
I mean, it's untiered at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Like, even if it ends up in PU, that's the thing. Okay, this is gonna be really weird, but the next Pokemon is the Aipom line, specifically Aipom and Ambipom. But Aipom is stupid in Little Cup right now. Like, I think it's banned because it has.
It isn't not fully evolved. It is so broken it's not allowed in there.
Because it has access to Skill Link and Tail Slap, which in Little Cup will literally kill any Pokemon except for the absolute biggest of bulks in one turn. I think...
And all those ones that have really good bulk, it'll just 2-hit KO them.
Yeah, like, let me see. I want to check something. Yes, so Showdown has this. So I'm just looking at I'm just gonna look real quick specifically, because I'm genuinely curious. Aipom versus Munchlax. Look up Showdown usage. Level 5. Let's see. So I'm not going to give it anything, but I'm going to make it Adamant. Think, blah, blah, that's good. Tail Slap. With Tail Slap, where's its ability? Skill Link. Oh my god. No, hold on. Let me, so the standard Munchlax set for Little Cup in Sword and Shield. With Eeveelutions, Adamant Nature, all this stuff, this thing will literally always 2-hit KO Munchlax. It does 50 to 66%, and I haven't even put any attack investments in it yet. So let's go.
Oh my god.
So let me max it out, 252 speed and 252 attack. With max attack investment, there's a 6% chance it OHKOs Munchlax. And I haven't even right, and I haven't even given it an item yet. Let's give it Choice Band. Choice Band, with a Choice Band max attack investment Aipom with Tail Slap against a 0 HP invested because it already has really high HP investment, 36 physical defense invested Eeveelutions Munchlax is a guaranteed OHKO.
Yeah, Aipom is broken.
So,
but Ambipom.
But Ambipom means fixing, I think.
It is in NU, so it's at least not in PU.
Ah, is it running Technician or Skill Link?
It is running Technician.
That makes sense.
Technician, Fake Out, Return, Low Kick, or Pursuit, and then U-Turn.
That is the moveset it's been running since Generation 4.
In Sword and Shield, it is not in.
Damn. Is it only in BDSP?
There's not even a BDSP listing for it.
It is only in BDSP. Okay.
And not seen enough play to warrant a inclusion. I guess Schmalgon still has We're entering Scarlet and Violet, and Smogon still hasn't included a BDSP tier list yet.
Well, to be fair, BDSP was kind of moved back, so they was
Yeah, I guess that's fair. BDSP kind of got hit by COVID.
Yep. So did Legends Arceus. So.
Yeah, but Legends Arceus didn't have a competitive scene.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't. It can't have a competitive scene. Everything is all weird and busted. But.
But yeah, Ambipom's niche with its access to stab and technician boosted fake out, which allows it to pressure most offensive teams with a relatively strong priority move. Furthermore, U-turn coupled with decent offensive stats allows Ambipom to act as an offensive pivot. However, stat priority is much better on Pokemon such as Sneasel, Comfey, and Decidueye, because not only do their priority moves provide stronger offensive coverage, they can also be used more than once after they enter the battle. While Ambipom may be fast and decently strong, it cannot take a hit thanks to its poor bulk and has mediocre firepower due to its being reliant on its natural stab moves for damage, rather than super effective coverage, which makes it difficult for Ambipom to even dent the top defensive cores in Never Use, which is why it is outclassed as an all-out offensive pivot by Pokemon such as Passimian, Helios, Rotom, and Whimsicott. Ambipom is also very easy to wear down because it's vulnerable to all entry hazards, status afflictions, and recoil from Life Orb, which it has to use because it doesn't really have that good offensive tools outside of these small utility moves.
Right, and even with the Technician boost, you're not exactly going to be chunking everything in NU, even in NU, with Fake Out.
Yeah, and even it has 100 attack, stab, Technician boosted Fake Out.
And it still requires a Life Orb because it doesn't actually hit that hard.
Yeah.
You know what's hilarious though? I just learned this. In BDSP, as a level 1 move, it has Dual Chop, which is a Dragon type move.
I mean, that's pretty good.
I just think it's funny. Like, this thing genuinely has access to Dragon Chop, and it's a monkey. Never underestimate Monk, I suppose. Oh, that I am in the wrong generation. Hold on a second. Oh, wait, we talked about this Pokemon already. Sunkern / Sunflara.
Okay. Yeah, we did. That was the first Pokemon we talked about because it was our initial idea of what we wanted to do to enhance the Pokemon. My thing was create a new evolution called Sunflara that is Fire Grass and give it a bit of a bulk boost, and it has solar power, stab, flamethrower in Sunny Day.
Plus Fire Blast. What were we doing with its speed? I don't remember what we were
I believe we were keeping the speed low, or maybe give it boosted speed. I forget what the idea was if we were going to go for either making it... I think the idea was we were going to make it just really bulky, so that it was like, on non-Trick Room teams, it was just sort of like a wall breaker.
Yeah. Yeah, the idea was to either be a Trick Room wall breaker or a Chlorophyll wall breaker, depending on where you put your investment.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, and for those at home who are wondering what the coverage for Grass Fire actually is, it's 44% of all Pokemon for super effective damage, and it's only resisted by Fire and Dragon. So, yeah, if this thing got Sunflara, it would be set.
Yeah.
It would be set. All it needs is more bulk and enough speed to allow you to go, which way do I want this thing?
Exactly.
Because you can make it solar power Trick Room or Chlorophyll and just mow things down.
Or you could straight up just solar power, not even bother with Trick Room, and just rely on the fact that it's just bulky enough. Like, put all your investment into bulk.
Exactly.
And then just, like, take out all the speedy threats first.
Yeah, take out the speedy threats first, and then let this smiling sunflower clean up. Yeah, or the evolution of it at any rate. Next up, we have Yanma, who is one of my personal favorite bug types, and its evolution, Yanmega.
Yanma, another instance of a Pokemon that really should have been more common in Johto.
Yep, and it was all mostly because its stats are horrible. It's got the same base stat total as Butterfree, but it is super frail.
Luckily, it isn't. Yanmega is in Aryu.
Well, that makes sense because Yanmega is actually really strong because Tinted Lens.
Actually, I will, on a tangent here, bring up the fact that I love the flavor of the ancient power evolution lines that we got in Gen 4, and I wish they would bring that back. More Pokemon that if they evolve while knowing ancient power will de-evolve back to their ancient, massive, prehistoric behemoths that they were in the past.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Like, I think that should be the real utility for ancient power. It should not be a move like, yeah, people will use ancient power as like the 1 in a million chance to boost all your stats. But no, the use of ancient power should be in lore to de-evolve Pokemon to their ancient super primordial forms.
That totally works, and I mean, why? But you know what's? Speaking of that, the funny thing about ancient power is that ancient power is actually seeing some use in Sword and Shield VGC as a rock type coverage move for Charizard.
Huh.
Because when it Gigantamaxes, it doesn't activate the Sun with its fire type move. It activates like a flaming vortex that deals insane damage to any Pokemon that's not a fire type on the field for residual damage. Like I think it deals like 1/8 damage every turn for 4 turns, and then this thing gets access to Max Rockfall, which summons a Sandstorm with ancient power, which is busted. But anyways, I'm going to guess, because I actually watched the video on Yanmega recently, that it's an RU because of Tinted Lens Bug Buzz.
Yes, exactly.
Because
Tinted Lens, Choice Specs, Bug Buzz, Air Slash, U-Turn, and either Giga Drain or Psychic for coverage.
Yeah, because Bug Buzz, like Bug on its own, is not quad resisted by anything, but it has a lot of resistances, but they're half resistances on their own as monotypes. So you give it Tinted Lens, it effectively deals unresisted damage with Bug Buzz, with 116 special attack and choice specs. And then you throw on flying coverage, it's only resisted by steel. And I don't think this thing gets access to anything that is a special type attack that hits steals for super effective damage. It would have to be like fighting or something. It gets access to Sunny Day.
I don't know if it. I don't think it knows any fighting or fire. Fighting, fire,
or ground. I think.
Ground. I don't. Yeah. I don't think it goes.
Let me quickly check.
Bug.
Let me quickly check steel real fast. Steel's type coverage, its weaknesses are fighting, ground, and fire, and it does not have access to a special to any fighting type moves at all, and the only fire type move it knows is Sunny Day. So that's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine for it to have that coverage, and if you really wanted, what helps more? Grass hits half of all the game for super effective damage and will get recovery. Psychic actually doesn't help that much in terms of like type coverage. I
think maybe it has it specifically for like specific matchups where there's like maybe
probably
a type that it's just really weak to.
Yeah, because the only type that it gets that Psychic hits for damage, for super effective damage that Flying and Bug doesn't is Poison. But Psychic is stronger than Giga Drain, so and I think it has more power points. I think.
Also, here's why. Salazzle.
That's reason enough to run Psychic for sure. If you don't have Salazzle coverage, then
it is in the format, and it's one of its big weaknesses is Salazzle, a fire poison type that can hit it for fire damage, to hit down for really bad hits. Just having Psychic in your pocket for if you run into the Salazzle.
Yeah. So if you don't have coverage for Salazzle on your team, that's why you would do that. Me personally, though, I'd personally run Giga Drain on this thing.
It's not in Sword and Shield, but this is probably one of the best Pokemon to put heavy-duty boots on.
Oh, yeah, because it's got a 4 times weakness to Stealth Rocks.
Yeah. Yeah, like, it doesn't need choice specs. It has 116 special attack. Like, having the choice specs is useful, but I think having the heavy-duty boots is more useful.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, if it could have had heavy-duty boots, it would really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Now
it doesn't need any boost or anything from us.
No. This thing is fine. Quagsire, the boy. The wonderful, wonderful boy.
Ah, yes. Let us bring back the water ground Venn diagram.
Right. I'm going to throw that up now because I'm recording Opera right now on OBS. Just throw it in the chat.
Yeah, I am just pulling it up. My internet's been kind of slow today.
That is all right.
Oh, there you are. Oh god.
You precious image, you.
The big center image is just, they are all better than Whiscash.
Yeah, which we are definitely going to have to talk about Whiscash again, because I know we talked about Whiscash before, but...
yeah, we are going to need to do that. But yes, here you are, everybody. Swampert, Cybertoad, Gastro, and Quagsire all have their own unique niche that Whiscash cannot do.
Indeed. And as you can see, it has reliable recovery, a water immunity, which is great because it's neutral to water, good physical stats, definitely, because it's got 85 physical defense and 95 base HP. It can use...
Yawn.
It's got Yawn for utility. Damp is always weird because I totally see the use in, not blowing up, or having your opponents not blow up, but like...
It's useful to have in your pocket if the meta ends up ever shifting towards an explosion user.
Yeah, or explosion users. But, like, yes. Water Absorb is definitely the ability you want to give this thing, and I think it still has access to Recover?
Nope. It is not using Water Absorb.
Is it using Damp?
It is using Unaware.
Oh, that's right! That's right, I forgot this thing gets Unaware, even though I was just looking at its ability stats earlier. So, you could Swords Dance all you want, this thing is still just gonna be like, meh.
Yep.
So, okay, that makes sense. So where is it? Okay, where is the most detailed write-up on Quagsire? Because Quagsire has a funny tendency to just show up wherever it pleases.
Yeah, it is in the Sword and Shield Smogon. It is in PU, AG, OU, UU, RU, and NU.
It's
BDS, PEOU.
It's literally everywhere. I love it. As soon as you went from PU to AG, I'm like, yeah.
I don't even know what AG is.
It's anything goes. It's the tier that was invented specifically because Mega Rayquaza existed.
It sees play in the format with Mega Rayquaza.
And Arceus would have actually invented that tier in Generation 4 if you were allowed to get an Arceus that could level up. The only Arceus that was ever released in Generation 4 was an event that was at level 100.
In Anything Goes, it is using heavy-duty boots or Rocky Helmet with Unaware, and its moveset is Earthquake, either Scald or Haze, Recovery, and Toxic.
Yep, this thing is just a weird, annoying support Pokemon. You see this thing's big, dopey face, and you're just like, what are you doing here? Okay.
But, okay, let's look. It doesn't have anything on OU. It has it's got something in UU. It has in pretty much all of them except for OU, there's actually a decent listing for what it does. So I'll go to UU.
Yeah.
It possesses a unique niche in UU with its ability Unaware with such a stop setup sweepers such as Kuma-O and Dragon Dance Salamence in their trap. A water ground typing allows it to act as a Volt Switch absorber while also checking Pokemon such as Rotom Heat and Lycanroc D. As such, these attributes make Quagsire a staple on stall teams. However, its 4 times weakness to grass makes it unable to check Pokemon like Nihilego and Gyarados as they commonly carry grass-type coverage. Quagsire's bulk only goes so far as strong wall breakers such as Crawdon and Azumarill can break through it with minimal effort. Finally, its poor special bulk leaves it unable to take on special attackers well. Huh, okay, that wasn't as glowing as we were expecting.
Well, I mean, it's not like this. It's not like its stats are great. Like, the only reason why it shows up everywhere is just because the thing has a weirdly good amount of utility everywhere. It's got Scald, it's got Recover. It looks at setup and goes, I don't give a shit. This is one of those.
And this is why the thing can exist in OU, UU, and down in PU.
Yeah, like, this thing is literally playable anywhere because it doesn't see enough usage to be banned from any tier. But it's seeing just enough usage that people are literally have to, people can get caught off guard by Quagsire.
Yeah. It's like, okay, if you're relying on just above average sweepers that don't use setup moves, Quagsire's not going to do a damn thing against it.
Yeah.
But if you're relying on setup sweepers that use like Dragon Dance and stuff to be able to bolster their moves, Quagsire's going to eat them for lunch.
Yeah. And then, give him a pat on the back afterwards, because he seems like a really nice guy.
Yeah, no, Quagsire's a boy.
Yeah, Quagsire's a good boy. Next up are the two new Eeveelutions, Espeon and Umbreon.
Espeon.
I'm gonna bet that whatever set you find is running Magic Bounce.
Yes.
Because that ability is fantastic in any format.
It is in Espeon Sword and Shield is in PUBL.
So it's banned from PU.
Yes.
That's
the
unfortunate.
Format technically in an MU, but nothing is written about it.
Yeah, see, that's unfortunate. It's in that weird spot where it's not good enough for NU, but it's too strong for PU.
Back in Sun and Moon, it was in RU.
Man, Power Creep and Gen 8 hit this thing hard.
Yeah.
I mean, 130 base special attack and 110 speed is nothing to sneeze at, for sure. Plus, it's got Recovery and Morning Sun.
Yeah, in Sun and Moon, its setup was Calm Mind, Psychic, Shadow Ball, and Morning Sun or Zap Cannon.
That's actually not as... Zap Cannon's...
And in Sword and Shield, its set is Psychic, Dazzling Gleam, Shadow Ball, and Trick.
It doesn't even run Morning Sun? That's weird. I guess it wouldn't need to if it's just going to outspeed and smash everything.
Yeah. Well, the idea, it's running choice specs in Sword and Shield.
That would explain it. Yeah, this thing...
Yeah, it's designed to just either smash face or swap choice specs onto like a physical attack, into like a setup Pokemon to like screw them over.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Umbreon over here, the defensive one, I know has been seeing some sparing but notable usage in VGC because of its bulk, and the fact that Inner Focus got buffed.
Did you watch the Gym Leader tournament on YouTube?
I think I did, but I don't remember all the details.
Umbreon was a house.
Yeah.
It was effectively a monotype tournament where all of the gym leaders were given their best Pokemon setup from the various different games, like all the best Pokemon from whatever version they were like available. Like they picked and chose all the best Pokemon that appeared on them, and made their best possible teams. And Umbreon was on Will's team, I believe, and was on Carrot's team, and was a house.
I'm not surprised. I mean, 130 special defense, 110 defense, 95 HP. Did it have foul play?
Yes. Foul play was its big thing. It was like, it is a bulky wall with foul play. It is unkillable in that format.
And you really couldn't ask for a better single attacking move if you're a wall than foul play, especially if you're in a physical format, because Dark has no immunities. It only hits 2 types for super effective damage, to be fair, but it hits everything but fighting Dark and Fairy for neutral damage. That's not bad.
Also, it has Wish and Protect and Heal Bell.
And Moonlight as well. Theoretically, it could run Guard Swap if it really wanted to, but I don't think it needs to, just because, it's already got ridiculously good defenses as is.
It is in RU and UU.
Umbreon's fine.
Yeah, Umbreon is a tank.
Were we going to do anything to Espeon, or was the fact that it got banned from PU enough to warrant us not looking at it?
We should probably actually, take a look at Espeon.
Just
So being a magic bouncer is really strong.
But-
it's probably one of the most powerful moves in the entire game. Or most powerful abilities in the entire game.
the only problem is that in a format with heavy duty boots,
hazards aren't as broken anymore.
yeah.
So having magic bounce as your necessary thing isn't as broken. But the thing is, people still run heavy duty boots because people still run the hazards.
Right. So it's not like Magic Bounce suddenly became bad because suddenly we got steel-toed boots on.
No, like people still they're still going to be using hazards in this format. And it's like maybe you're on a team where you run like Pokemon that can't afford to run heavy duty boots but have a Stealth Rock weakness. But those aren't Pokemon that I can really think of off the top of my head.
Not terribly common, no. Okay, well, wait a sec. Does it get access to teleport? Okay.
That'd be a good move.
It doesn't. It doesn't get access to teleport.
Alright, that would be our little treat for Espeon. You can have teleport.
And I think that would actually be really helpful. I mean, it's a negative priority move, and it doesn't have the greatest bulk in the world. But if it's against a special attacker, and it's anticipating a switch, it could just use teleport to pivot in.
Yeah.
So that would.
Or if the Pokemon is a special attacker, it can take a hit from a special attacker and then switch out.
Yeah, or if it anticipates a switch. What is its current? What is the setup it had again for PUBL?
In Sword and Shield NU, it has Psychic, Dazzling Gleam, Shadow Ball, and Trick.
Okay, first off, it's weird that it's running Trick. Second off, what is that coverage like? Psychic, Fairy, Ghost. That hits 40% of all Pokemon and has no resistances.
It runs Trick because it's running Choice Bets.
Okay, so it can choose to keep its attacks really strong, or trick the choice items on something to ruin a setup Pokemon or something.
Exactly.
I don't know what to do then, outside of maybe giving it teleport.
Yeah, I think teleport's all it really needs.
And then at the very least,
it wouldn't be like amazing, but it would be a small little buff. And I think at this point, if like Scarlet and Violet, this Pokemon's still gonna be around because the EVs are always gonna exist. In Scarlet and Violet, it'll probably be just nerfed enough to go down to PU and actually see competitive play as a decent PU Pokemon.
Exactly. Like the reason why we went back to Espeon was that while we don't mind if a Pokemon is in PU and is doing stuff there, if it's banned from that tier and can't do anything in another tier, then we either wait for power creep to bring it down, or we find a way to get it useful in the next tier up, because we want to see these Pokemon have use regardless of what tier they're in.
Yeah, BL and untiered are basically the only conditions where you need help.
Exactly. Speaking of Pokemon that I think might be in BL, Honchkrow.
Honchkrow.
And Murkrow, actually, because Murkrow actually sees a surprising amount of use in doubles.
How do I spell Honchkrow?
H-O-N...
I'll just spell Murkrow.
Yeah.
And find its evolution.
Yeah, so Honchkrow Honchkrow's weird because for several generations, this thing was just a really busted physical attacker that would always end up getting banned from the tier it would eventually end up in just because of power creep bullshit.
It isn't in Sword and Shield.
It's in Brilliant
Diamond.
Sun and Moon.
It was in RU, running Darkium Z and Moxie.
Yep, that was Honchkrow's claim to fame because it had claim to fame because it had 100 HP, 105 special attack, and 125 special attack or physical attack, with access to moves like Brave Bird. This thing hits like a truck.
Brave Bird, Superpower, Sucker Punch, and Taunt.
So Taunt is really good.
Punch, Darkium Z powered Sucker Punch.
Yeah, no wonder this thing was in RU. Plus, because of its middling 71 speed, it appreciates Sucker Punch's priority.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we don't need to.
Nope.
It wasn't in Sword and Shield, but if it ever did get printed into Scarlet and Violet, it's probably going to be in NU.
Maybe it depends. It depends on who ends up in Scarlet and Violet. So
yeah,
one of those things that we'd have to wait and see. Slowking.
If we ever get an Italy-themed set, Ponchatour will absolutely be there.
Oh, I actually would not be surprised. I mean, it's technically Spain, but it's probably the
I know,
whole
that's what I'm saying.
peninsula.
If we ever get to Italy, the Italian Mafia Pokemon is going to show up there.
Oh, yeah. It would be a wasted opportunity if it didn't. Slowking.
Okay, Slowking does not need help.
No, Slowking.
Slowking,
I think both forms of Slowking are in OU and UU.
for some reason, Galarian's... oh no, I gotta go to Sun... okay, yeah. Galarian Slowking is in OU, and Cantonian... Jotonian Slowking is in OU and UU.
Yeah, they're fine. And it's totally because of Regenerator, Teleport, their ridiculous bulk, and I think they have pretty respectable special attack. Let me double check just to be sure.
The bulk is a special thing. The basic thing was always that Slowbro was the physical wall, Slowking is the special wall, and the two of them together are just like an unstoppable wall duo.
Yep. Plus, technically, you could run Eeveelutions on... Can you run Eeveelutions on Slowbro? No, you can't, because...
You cannot, no. You cannot run Eeveelutions on any of these.
I mean, thank
except for Slowpoke.
I mean, thank Christ. These things are...
Actually, let's look at Slowpoke. See where Slowpoke is in the Little Cup tier.
Yeah, you know what? We might as well.
It has access to Eeveelutions and Regenerator, still in Little Cup.
Oh no.
And Scald, either Future Sight or Psychic, Teleport, and Slack Off.
Okay, so this thing...
It has access to Slack Off as well as Regenerator and Eeveelutions.
And Teleport, because Teleport technically ends up being a healing move at that rate.
Yeah. Slowpoke's typing in bulk allows it to act as a blanket check to many Pokemon such as Onix and Staryu, as well as check Psychic and Fire types effectively. Moreover, Slowpoke sports a handful of great utility moves. These include Teleport, which synergizes well with Regenerator and allows a teammate to be brought in safely, and Slack Off, which gives it reliable healing, as well as Scald, Thunder Wave, and Fire Blast. It knows Fire Blast!
Yes, it does. It also knows...
However, Slowpoke is very slow, and its typing leaves it with a weakness to stab attacks that are common present, such as Volibee, Pawniard, Grookey, and Magnemite, as well as common coverage from Pokemon Slowpoke tends to soft check throughout a match, such as Staryu's Thunderbolt, Timber, and the Infused Knockoff, and U-Turn from a number of threats. So, it's a decentish Pokemon with a number of good checks for it.
Yeah, it's very well balanced. It's strong, but well balanced.
Exactly.
Also, yes, this thing, it also gets Flamethrower and Sunny Day.
Oh my goodness.
And just for reference, Cantonian Slowpoke? Yeah, Cantonian Slowpoke. Its weaknesses are to Electric, Grass, Bug, Ghost, and Dark. So it does have a pretty penny's worth of weaknesses. Next up is Pokemon number 200, Misdreavus and Miss Magius. This thing was actually a beast in Generation 2 OU because Pain Split was its signature move. It had access to Perish Song, and it was actually pretty solid, despite its weirdly meh stats.
It was the only Ghost-type Pokemon at the time that was actually immune to, resistant to psychic damage.
Yeah, because of the psychic nerf and the fact that Gengar was part Poison type.
Yeah, which why did you make it part Poison type?
Well, Ghastly being Ghastly makes sense to be Ghost Poison.
Being Poison type, yeah, but like.
By the time it becomes Haunter, it shouldn't be. But by the
I get it that Gengar doesn't need any more buffs nowadays, but in the original format, it should have been pure Ghost.
Well, just for theming.
Yeah, exactly.
Just for theming's sake. Yeah. So Miss Magius, more specifically, is what we should be looking at.
Yeah, Miss Magius is in BDSP OU and nothing else, but it has two separate movesets.
Well, 105 special stats and speed, and 60 physical stats and HP. I think I can see what this thing is doing.
It is either a Step Sweeper, which I assume you predicted.
Yeah.
Using Levitate, and it only has Levitate as ability. Levitate and Leftovers. It uses Leftovers and Levitate on both of its setups. It has Nasty Plot, either Shadow Ball or Hex, Mystical Fire, and either Substitute or Will-O-Wisp. So I'm assuming it's either running Substitute and Shadow Ball, or it's going for a Hex Wisp combo.
Well, yeah, that's probably what it is. Plus, Mystical Fire is not a bad piece of coverage to have. It's a 75 base power fire type move with a 100% chance to lower special attack by 1 stage. Keeping in mind, this thing has 105 special defense.
And it also has, on the other end, a Taunt Will-O-Wisp setup where it runs Taunt, Will-O-Wisp, Hex, and Pain Split. Its signature move still being used to this day.
Yes, it's originally its signature move. Pain Split ended up getting spread around a lot, but nobody does it better than Miss Magius in
Yeah, 60 HP with Pain Split is not a bad system.
Well, considering that means any really bulky Pokemon are actually really going to get hurt by that, so...
And it's basically a full recovery in those situations.
Exactly. Like Miss Magius is fine, or Miss Magius.
Because the adorable thing about Pain Split is it doesn't make both Pokemon have half of their HP. It combines their. It gives the Pokemon enough HP equal to half the combined total.
Yeah, exactly.
So if Miss Magius has 60 HP, like we're just for the sake of math, if it has 60 HP total and it's down to 30 HP. And the opponent has 90 HP, full to the brim, it's going to, the total amount of HP that is actually existing is 120 HP, meaning the 90 HP Pokemon is going to go down to 60, and Miss Magius is full up to max health again.
It's 150, but yeah, I love Miss Magius is fine. What the hell?
No, the argument I said it has 30 HP because it has 60 HP, but it goes down to 30 HP.
Well, it goes down by 30 HP to meet it in the middle at 60.
Yeah.
What the hell are we gonna do with Unknown?
Unknown is one of those Pokemon that's like you can't do anything to it because it doesn't exist as a competitive Pokemon. Unknown exists as a collectathon Pokemon.
Yeah.
It exists for a secondary gameplay mechanic in the game as just a thing to collect as
that's rude, though.
I don't think you really shouldn't. Like, I don't think Unknown should be buffed. I think it, as it is, it exists perfectly fine.
No, I wholly agree. I'm saying what's rude about it, it's in Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, and it's in Legends Arceus. But this is the only Pokemon in all of Generation 8, because it appeared in Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl and Legends Arceus, it's the only Pokemon in the whole of Generation 8 with access to one of a move that used to be incredibly common in all tiers across many Pokemon, Hidden Power.
Yep, Hidden Power it is a very unique move, and I get why they got rid of it. Because Hidden Power basically ensured that every Pokemon would at least have access to some amount of coverage for something.
I think they actually got rid of it because of how it would interact with Dynamax.
That was probably the big reason, but I think on the surface, Hidden Power was kind of unhealthy for the format as well, because it meant that having coverage was always available. Like, even if you never gave it a grass-type move, it could always get Hidden Power grass. And that was a common thing for a lot of sweepers, would always end up with something. Like, the big thing that was always kind of a downside was because the Hidden Power's type was tied to their personality, that some Pokemon couldn't had to, like, suffer a bit subpar in their stat line.
Yeah, because it was dependent on your IVs, and I don't think Hidden Power ever got a fairy type.
No, they didn't.
Let me see.
Because they never changed the IV setup thing.
Just want to see if that was ever a thing. Yeah, in the court, Hidden Power cannot be normal or fairy type. Okay.
Fair enough.
So, Hidden Power, Normal, and Fairy do not exist. I mean, Hidden Power Normal would be completely and utterly pointless.
Yeah.
But Hidden Power...
Okay, this isn't a thing about fixing it competitively, but gameplay-wise, I think Pokemon, the game's Unknown kind of suffers from the fact that they only ever make, like, one place where you can find all the unknowns.
Yeah, Solaceum.
I think that what they should do for a game is have multiple. Forgot what the people were called. What was it called? What was the ruins in Johto?
The Ruins of Alph.
Ruins of Alph, but no, it was a specific.
Yeah, there was a professor there. Also, in Legends Arceus, they are spread out across different places. Like each of the unknown letters are hidden in places, and you have to find them.
Yeah, that's what I think should be for them at all times. I think that because it basically allows for you to actually, like, as you're playing the game, to casually collect the ball instead of being forced to just drop what you're doing. Oh, Sinjo! That's what they were called.
Oh, right. You because of the event, you would use Arceus to get to the Sinjo ruins, and then unknowns show up, and then they do the crazy, fucking weird, like real images flashing before your eyes bullshit. That like. Have you?
I just refer to Sinjo as the name of the ancient people that lived in these specific ruins.
That makes sense. I'm very curious. Like, have you seen that cutscene?
I have seen it. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's like it is cool, but it is kind of unsettling. I don't know if it's just me, but it is weird to see the magic godly space goat like showing you the real world. But yeah, we can't do anything to unknown.
No, like it's not designed to be a competitive one. It's designed to be a collectathon trophy.
And then we have Wobbuffet.
Wobbuffet.
Yes, we love this goofball, but really, it's like okay, what it doesn't look like it's got. Did it lose Tickle in the generational shift, or did Tickle just not exist? I guess they booted Tickle from its learn set, but like counter, Mirror Coat, Destiny Bond, and something, and then you're good to go. And
I will specify Wobbuffet is probably one of the most annoying names to spell.
Yeah, it's annoying as hell. But really,
also, just Wobbuffet is not a Pokemon that should be buffed because it is a Pokemon that is actually like it is not a fun design for a Pokemon.
No,
it basically puts the opponent into a rock paper scissors contest.
It's literally the epitome of forced mix-up. Shadow tag and then guess or die. Like, I mean, yeah. Let's not touch Wobbuffet. I'm tired of looking at his stupid face. But I want to talk about Ursa Ring.
Oh yes.
I love Ursa Ring. This thing is apparently.
Ursa Ring I love Ursa too. It is a fan. I love also that what it's a reference to.
It's a palindrome.
No. Oh, yes, it's a palindrome, but that's not all. Its design is a reference.
Oh? Oh, wait, the Chain Chomp, right?
No. It has a Chain Chomp for head. Yes. No, it is a reference to the Push Me, Pull Me from Dr. Dolittle.
Oh.
It was a stupid thing, but in Dr. Dolittle, one of the animals that he introduces to a circus performer guy to try to make a little bit of money and all that is he introduces him to a Push Me Pull Me, which is just a horse with a fake horse head tied to its butt to make it look like it was going in both directions.
I love it. Giraffe Ring.
But it was supposed to be like a real horse that was walking back and forth, and it's just like.
Oh, that's so stupid. I love it.
But no, I do love Giraffe Ring. It is a fantastic thing. I do love it a lot.
Okay, stats-wise, it's not great. It's got respectable special attack, but everything else is kind of on the varying sides of middling. It has access to the buff to Inner Focus, which is not bad, but to be fair, it's not a physical attacker, so it's not terrible, but it's like it's not gonna use this. Like its best ability is probably Sap Sipper because it turns a grass neutrality into an immunity, and that would be the main reason why you use the thing. I mean, if you want to run physical Giraffe Rig, I suppose you could, but you'd still be running Sap Sipper for that. Its attacks are like from learn set. It actually has quite a few physical attacks. whatever it's okay, so it learns Calm Mind. It has at least one of the screens. It has Thunderbolt, Shadow Ball, Psychic. Doesn't appear to have any normal type.
The thing is, this Pokemon is weird because all of its weaknesses come from the fact that it's in Sun and Moon, which there's one Pursuit exists, which I think should come back, but it's gotten rid of, and so it's no longer vulnerable to Pursuit. But they also got rid of Return, which was its #1 normal stab move.
Yeah, like what normal type move could it have run afterwards? Like Assurance is Dark type. Stomp has a chance to flinch, but only 65 base power. It gets Crunch. It gets a lot of Dark type moves. I almost wonder if this thing should have been Dark Psychic instead, but that seems like a stretch. Energy Ball for coverage is not terrible. Charge Beam is actually pretty cool coverage. Because it boosts special attack. It gets Future Sight, Amnesia. Yeah, as for normal physical type moves, its best now appears, like, by damage, not strictly by effect, but by damage, appears to be... Oh no, it's got Facade, so there it is. But you'd have to status this thing. So that's not great. What is its tiering right now?
It is in PU.
Ah, cool.
It's basically a not very good Psychic type Pokemon, outclassed by pretty much all the other Psychics.
So you would really only use it if you had no other option, or if you really like Giraffe Ring.
If you really needed that Ghost type immunity, you would run this.
Yeah, Ghost type immunity, and the Grass type immunity as well because of Sap Sipper. But
like Grass type immunity is not really that necessary when Jinx exists.
Yeah, that's true. So, I mean, it gets Nasty Plot as a setup move.
It doesn't even run that. Its setup team is Choice Band and Return, Psychic Fangs, Earthquake, and Trick. It's basically pulling the same shtick as Espeon was earlier.
Except it lost Psychic Fangs in the generational transit to Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, which is
It
dumb.
lost Return and Psychic Fangs.
Which sucks because Psychic Fangs is a great move for this thing to have because, fun fact...
It's not in Sword and Shield, so it didn't
right,
access to it.
right.
It just didn't exist.
Right, because of Ultrasun and Ultramoon. So if it comes back in Scarlet and Violet, it will Psychic Fangs is physical Psychic Brick Break, but stronger.
Yeah.
Because it can destroy the screens. So...
Which would have been very useful to have in Sword and Shield.
So, when this thing comes back to Generation 9, it should definitely keep us... what it really needs, I think, is a physical attack boost and maybe an evolution.
An evolution would be really cool, but what is a pun? Like, if Giraffe Ring's pun gimmick thing is that it is a palindrome,
well,
how do you expand off of a palindrome?
Use its beta design, because its beta design originally had a full giraffe head sticking out the back instead of the weird chain chomp thing.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So, its original design was literally a push me pull me, and they decided to glamour it up a little bit instead.
Yeah, exactly.
No, oh my goodness, I just realized! Its original design was push me pull me, and they went even further by making the push me pull me head look objectively fake, as a reference to the fact that the push me pull me was literally a horse with a fake horse head on the back.
Yep. So, yeah. So
I love it. I love it so much.
So yeah, that's what I would do for its evolution. And as for stat boost, I would give it a 50-point stat boost, and split it across attack, speed, and HP.
Fair enough. Yeah, I definitely I get the idea that maybe it should have special attack, but in my opinion, a psychic giraffe should be a physical psychic Pokemon.
Well, yeah, because it's gonna kick and stomp things. So.
Yeah.
So what was after Giraffe Rig? Fortress! Yes, Fortress. The original hazard specialist. It's set up...
Yeah, before Ferrothorn showed up, Fortress was the big defensive steel Pokemon.
Plus, it was the original hazard center, because it got spikes and rapid spin, baby. So what's the so where is it now?
It is in RU at the moment. Well, that was in Sword and Shield. It is. Sorry, it's not in Sword and Shield. In Sun and Moon, it was in RU.
Okay, presumably doing its hazard bullshit.
Yeah, Gyro Ball, Spikes, Volt Switch, Rapid Spin, or Toxic.
Yep, that sounds like Fortress to me. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's see, who's after Fortress?
Fortress is one of those cases of you can't really improve upon what it's doing because it's doing a hyper specialized thing.
And it's doing it really, really well.
It just had to be dropped down to RU because now Ferrothorn exists to do what it's doing in the higher tiers.
Plus power creep. Speaking of power creep, Dunsparce.
Dunsparce is absolutely one of those Pokemon that I cannot spell Dunsparce.
Okay. What's funny though is that Dunsparce actually has really high really high HP. It's got base 100 HP. And it has a bunch of flinching moves and Serene Grace for some reason.
I'm assuming this is like a reference or something. I know that's a reference to the Tsuchinoko, but I don't know anything about the Tsuchinoko to like do anything about it.
All I know is that the Tsuchinoko is a really fat snake.
Yeah, it's a really fat, short snake that like exists, and I don't know why it exists. But it exists apparently.
It's weird, but yeah, Dunsparce. Woo, Dunsparce.
I know a lot of people when they keep trying to come up, their initial thing to try and make Dunsparce better is to give it a dragon evolution. And it's like, honestly, I think it should be fairy.
You know what? I wouldn't mind because
it's supposed to be a cryptid. It's not a dragon. It's a cryptid, and in my opinion, a cryptid should be fairies.
Well, some cryptids at any rate, and I think Dunsparce fits that fairy theming.
Yeah.
Question is.
But like, I don't know how you would evolve it because it's already designed to look like a Tsuchinoko.
Well, if we're gonna give it a fairy typing, you could have it level up when Misty Terrain is active.
That could work, but have it like evolve if it knows Misty Terrain.
Something like that, or some sort of fairy type move, and then it would evolve into its fairy type form. And I think the fairy type form should be stacked. I'm talking like 120 base points. Or wait. Remember your idea for Ancient Power?
Yes. Oh, give it Ancient Power, and then the Ancient Power evolves it into its fairy type person.
Well, here's its sword entry. This Pokemon's tiny wings have some scientists saying that Dunsparce used to fly through the sky in ancient times. So, make this thing Flying Fairy in its pre-Evo form, or it's in its ancient form, evolution form.
Normal Fairy. If you make it Flying Fairy, it's just literally going to be Togekiss.
Oh, that's right, because of Serene Grace bullshit.
Yeah.
Right.
So, keep it at Normal Fairy.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, Normal Fairy, Serene Grace,
and
give it like replace Rattle with like Levitating.
I can live with that, and also give it some flying type coverage. Like just give it the move Fly and some other flying type moves.
Give it a few flying type moves, and give it like Ancient Power evolves it into a normal fairy type Pokemon. This is what the Tsuchinoko would have been if it wasn't a fat snake.
Yep, and then plus 120 base stats gives it 535 base stats, which puts it in the league of a starter, which is great because the formerly horrific.
And yeah, if its evolution thing is that it gains like these big ass wings that let it fly, just put put a huge chunk of its points into speed. Just give it if you're giving it 150 boost, give that 100 of that boost to its speed. So now it has 145 speed.
Jesus Christ! and then what would we put the other 20 in? Physical attack?
Just put in the no, I would put it into its split it into defense. So 10 into defense and 15 into special defense, so it has 80 defense and special defense.
So we're making this thing bulky and fast with next to no offensive potential.
I mean, its thing is supposed to be its gimmick is that it flinches the opponent over and over again.
I guess if we're gonna make this thing Serene Grace to hell, then
yeah. The idea is that Dunsparce, it's death by 1,000 paper cuts.
With this evolution of Dunsparce, we'll call it Flinch Sparse because I can't think of another name right now. Also, what the fuck? This thing gets Dragon Rush? What? Okay, first off, I want to keep Dragon Rush as it evolves, but I'm going to buff Dragon Rush. I'm gonna make Dragon Rush 90% accurate and buff its flinch chance to 30%.
So just making it the dragon version of Rock Slide at that point?
But stronger, and I am willing to, as a caveat, make it 5 power points. Because 100 base power, 90 to 95% accurate with a 30% chance to flinch on a dragon-type move is really strong. So I don't mind cutting it.
Keep it at 20% chance to flinch, because remember, this thing has Serene Grace.
Which would make it 40% chance to flinch, which is fine by me.
Yeah. I would keep it at 20%
what
chance
is this
to
coverage?
30% chance to flinch is the Rock Slide limit, and I would keep it, I wouldn't make this just a strictly better Rock Slide.
Yeah, that's true. Hold on. This thing also gets Drill Run, which has a critical hit buff, which is insane. This thing has, like, if Dunsparce had any real offensive power, I think it would be terrifying. Like, the only thing holding it back is that it doesn't have particularly high stats outside of its HP. If it had high speed, or even really high defenses to make it really bulky, this thing would be stupid, and I'm here for it.
I'll caveat to make it, instead of 145 speed, make it 125 speed, so that you can put an additional 20 points into, like, its attack, so it has 90 attack.
Yeah, I like that. And then we would have the rest of its buffs in defense. And for those worried about normal fairy being, like, a super good type, no, it's not. It's got weaknesses to poison and steel. It has 2 immunities to Ghost and Dragon, 2 immunities to Bug and Dark, and it takes neutral damage from everything else. So keeping its defenses kind of mid would really help this thing. Plus, we're not buffing its HP.
Yeah, its HP is 100, and that's a decent HP as it is.
The
only real buff it's getting is just to its speed, and that's only because of the flavor of suddenly getting these giant wings.
And allowing it to be able to fly.
Yeah.
Who's after Dunsparce? Who is after Dunsparce? Oh, Gliscor.
Gliscor. We do not really.
Well, Gliscor / Gligar, but, like, I think both of them are fine.
Yeah, Gligar and Gliscor. Gligar itself is in UU.
So it's fine, is what I'm hearing.
Yes.
Steelix! I love you, Steelix!
I'm definitely sure we don't need to buff Steelix, but
let's check
it's in UU and URU.
Okay. And I really like that they gave this thing pretty respectable physical attack as well.
Okay, no, sorry, it's just in RU in Sword and Shield. I was looking at Sun and Moon, but it no longer has access to Mega Evolution, so it cannot be in. But this thing has freaking 200 defense!
This thing...
Also, we already talked about Steelix when we did the Onyx episode.
I totally forgot about that, so let's move on. I totally forgot that we talked about Steelix already. Granbull.
Granbull. I love that they made it a fairy type. I don't get why they made it a fairy type, but I love it anyway.
It's the lore about the so-called fairy dog, which is a mythological Scottish dog monster thing.
Gotcha, okay.
So
yes, another cryptid being made into fairy.
Yep, and it's got Intimidate, Quick Feet, and Rattled, which Quick Feet is okay, right? Because it gets extra speed. I don't think it has great speed. No, it's got 45 base speed, but it has 120 physical attack, and it's a fairy type, so.
Access to Intimidate. That's like you don't need to give it any other ability. It has Intimidate.
Nope. What is Granbull doing right now?
It is not in Sword and Shield. In Sun and Moon, it is in PU as an offensive support Pokemon, having Intimidate and Leftovers, and Heal Bell, Thunder Wave, Play Rough, and Earthquake.
I love it. We're good. So what tier is it in again?
PU.
But it's not
But
banned,
it was
right?
also in Z. It was in PU and ZU, so I imagine if it in the next thing, if it came out, it would probably drop to the lowest tier imaginable.
Yeah.
Because it would probably it skipped through this generation. So if it does end up in Scarlet and Violet, it's probably gonna be power creep to hell to not really be. So it probably should get something.
But what exactly?
I don't know. So like, usage tips. It works. It has a decent amount of info on it, but it's not like great. It's one of the rare fairy types in PU, albeit a mediocre one. However, its combination of a wide move pool, high attack stat, solid physical bulk, and great ability in Intimidate gives it some reason to be used. Okay, so it has a niche, it's just not used enough that it also falls into ZU. Its fairy type allows it to both wall and take down a variety of threats, including fighting types such as Hitmonchan and Girder, as well as dark types such as Absol and Spiritomb. One of Granbull's main setting points over other fairy types is its access to Earthquake, discourages poison types and steel types, and its access to utility moves such as Heal Bell and Thunderwave also allows it to cure status on its team. Unfortunately, Granbull suffers from low special defense stat, leaving it vulnerable to special wall breakers as well as poor speed, which hinders its offensive capabilities. Yeah, I think just give it like a 10-15 point boost to special defense, maybe?
Well, that would if we do 15, it brings it up to 475, which is really good. Which is actually a good spot for it, I think.
All right, fair enough.
Plus, theoretically, if you really want to be offensive with it, an Assault Vest suddenly becomes viable that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, having 75 special defense that suddenly gets boosted up with Assault Vest, like that'd be that would definitely shore up its big weakness.
Defo, it's something to consider for sure. Next up is Quill Fish, which is going to be interesting because it has a Hisuian form and a Hisuian evolution.
Yes. I cannot spell Quill Fish. I'm really bad at spelling Pokemon names. There we go. Alright, yeah, Quill Fish.
So let's talk about Quill Fish. Let's talk about Quill Fish itself first.
Okay. Quill Fish has 3 solid abilities: Intimidate, Poison Point, and Swift Swim.
So what is Jotonian forms? What is Jotonian Quillfish doing?
Hisuian form?
No, Jotonian.
Oh, Jotonian, yeah, that's what it has. Intimidate, Poison Point, Swift Swim. It's in PU. PU ZU, so, but it seems like it is one of the best spike setters in PU.
Okay.
Its high speed tier differentiates itself from other spike users such as Paraseed and Sandslash, making it a good fit for offensive teams. So it's an offensive spike setter. It's a decent switch into fighting types such as Hitmontop and works against Sword Stance Volley forms in a pinch as well. Also, it is one of the few toxic spike absorbers available. Quillfish frequently gets opportunities to set spikes defensive Pokemon such as Audino and Aromatisse that cannot threaten it. However, Quillfish is checked by common special attackers such as Galarian Articuno and Charizard. Quillfish also struggles against common entry hazard removers such as Rotom due to being worn down too fast. Yeah, so its big thing is that it's just an offensive spike setter, having spikes, taunt, waterfall, and then either Thunder Wave, Poison Jab, or Destiny Bond, depending on what you need for it.
So it's kind of been doing the same thing that it's been doing since GSC, however, it's just been getting power crept the whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
Interestingly, Hisuian Quillfish has the same abilities, but it replaces the water typing for dark typing, so it's dark poison.
Mm-hmm.
And then it gets an evolution, which has probably the funnest name to say in all of Pokemon.
I love it too.
Overquill. The pin cluster Pokemon, which is huge.
I think it needs it needs a bit of a redesign, I think, if it's going to go to modern games, because its design works in Arceus, because it's designed to look as it is in the big overworld area, so it needs that type of design to like fit the big open space. But in Pokemon, it's too big.
Well, its standard size is 8'2" at 130 pounds. So.
Well, no, I just mean that like other big Pokemon at least have like a specific shape that you can like round it to. But because its quills are so long, if you compress it down to fit on the screen, its actual like inner body becomes super small.
I wonder if that'll be an issue for Scarlet and Violet because they'll have random Wanderer Pokemon still. Because you could.
The wandering Pokemon are not like they're also like they're not as detailed in like compared to like Alolan. Or sorry, compared to Arceus. Arceus's overworld stuff was very detailed because the entire game was fought on the overworld.
Yeah.
In like Sword and Shield, the overworld sprites were like decent-ish, but like they were still compressed.
Right. Okay. So you're worried that due to how things will compress.
If they start compressing Overquill's design to fit on an overworld for Scarlet and Violet, it's going to be too compressed and it's not going to look good. It needs a design cleanup that'll work on a compressed format. Okay,
which I'm sure they'll figure something out. I mean, Game Freak, if nothing else, is usually pretty good about that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So Overquill, there's no tiering list for this thing, but we do know its base stats. And we know its base stats, and we know its abilities. It's the same abilities as Quill Fish, and its base stats, as they understand as is currently understood, is 85 HP, 115 attack, 95 defense, 65 special attack, 65 special defense, and 85 speed. So, and it's got access to moves like Ice Ball, Ice Beam, Dark Pulse, Giga Impact, Shadow Ball. It's also a Dark Poison type. Its signature move is Barb Barrage, which that is going to be really hard to say really fast because it's just going to come out like Barb Barrage, and the next thing you know, it's just like, are we giving Barbara some algae? I don't know. But Barb Barrage, the user launches countless toxic barbs to inflict damage, may also poison the target. And the power is doubled if the target has a status condition. This is like that Ghost Fire move that Hisuian Quillfish has, but it does poison. There's a 30% chance to poison.
Yeah, okay.
So, I genuinely think Overquill will be fine when it eventually...
I think if Overquill comes out into the actual game, it'll be a great Swim sweeper with access to a really good solid stab coverage of like a stab attack move for that poison move.
Yeah, because
the thing is though,
what is poison?
This is just I don't know if this is actually better than just having Venoshock.
Venoshock is 5 base power more, so it's 65 base power, but it doesn't have a chance to poison.
Yeah. Okay. Then this might actually be just a better Venoshock, maybe?
Well, we'll see. It depends on if they choose to keep its base power at 60 base power, or if it's...
I don't think they will, because a lot of the moves have, like, increased base power for...
Whoa! I just noticed something about Legends Arceus. Sorry. So, this thing gets access to 2 pulse moves, Water Pulse and Dark Pulse. They both don't miss now.
Huh.
So, that's just something I noticed. But it also gets access to Aqua Tail. So in a Swift Swim setting, it'll have this thing will have a Poison Stab and a Dark Stab, which is unresisted, plus a Water Stab, which will hit 44% of all Pokemon for super effective damage, hitting Ground, Rock, Ghost, Fire, Grass, Psychic, and Fairy types for super effective damage. That's not bad.
And it will still know Taunt as well, which is also a really good move.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think Overquill really will be a pretty strong mid-tier Pokemon.
You could run Taunt, or you could set up as literally a Spike Setter with just really good offensive coverage.
Yeah.
So it's like a Spike Setter that can kill anti-spikers.
And also be a really strong counter against any rain teams.
Mm-hmm.
So
a revenge killer against rain team, or just having Intimidate still is a really solid thing. But if you want it on a rain team, it can be a really nasty sweeper.
Oh yeah, like this thing will have options. I think this thing will make RU. I think this thing will make RU.
Oh, absolutely.
Scizor.
What?
Anything else we want to talk about, or do we want to move on to Scizor?
No. I just misheard what you said for the Pokemon's name.
Scizor / Cleavor.
Scizor.
Yes.
I thought you said Centaur.
No, there's no Centaur Pokemon yet.
we did not talk about. Did we talk? I think we did talk about Scizor when we were talking about Scyther and Cleavor.
We probably did. I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah.
But either way, Scizor doesn't need help.
Scizor doesn't need help. Cleavor, we were thinking about it, but I think Cleavor will be okay.
Yeah, Cleavor will be fine.
Right, we did talk about it because we were talking about Stone Axe, which is such a brilliantly simple but very effective name for a move. Let's see, where did... Okay, it'd be better if I just clicked on Scizor and moved all the way down and then clicked to the next Pokemon, which is... Shuckle!
Shuckle. Another gimmick Pokemon. It's an Uber!
Let me guess. Trick Room Power Split.
No.
Oh god, what is it doing?
It is a sturdy, then either using Mental Herb or Red Card, and using Sticky Web, Stealth Rock, Encore, and Final Gambit.
Okay, so this thing is literally an Uber support Pokemon.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I mean, it makes sense. The thing's got 230 in both of its defense stats, but it has an HP stat of 20 and a speed stat of 5.
Mm-hmm.
Also, its attack stats are 10. This is probably Pokemon's best shot at a min-max build.
This is literally these all defense, no offense.
Yep. Moving on to kind of the opposite end of things for bug types, Heracross.
Yes. How are we coming up to the end of this episode? Because we've been doing this for 2 hours at this point.
Just shy of 2 hours. So we've got Heracross, which I don't think we have a lot to talk about. I want to see what the next Pokemon is. Sneasel and Weavile. Probably don't need to talk a lot about those.
I think we probably have something to say about them.
Maybe. We'll put a pin in that. But I think for sure we should end it at Ursa Ring / Ursa Ring's evolution.
That's fine by me. Okay. So Heracross is currently in RU and UU.
Okay.
In RU, it's one of the strongest dedicated wall breakers due to powerful stab options and great abilities in Guts, and it has Moxie? Damn.
Yep, Moxie's its hidden ability.
Damn. Yeah, and it takes advantage of prominent defensive Dark and Steel types such as Incineroar, Umbreon, and Registeel. Heracross is also capable of sweeping and cleaning with a Choice Scarf set and Moxie. However, Heracross has nearly no defensive utility and lacks any longevity, so it sometimes struggles with to come in safely and make use of its strength. Okay, here's the thing. I have this is not specifically for Heracross, because they still need to just basically use Flame Orb to activate Guts and stuff.
Yeah.
But might be useful for Moxie. But Honey should work like Honey should be like Black Sludge, where it gives health to bug type Pokemon.
I mean, that makes sense. Like,
yeah.
That would give Honey a reason to exist. I mean, besides you being a wonderful human being, but...
But yeah, Honey being like, okay, it does nothing of... No, the thing for Honey should be, it is a healing item that cannot be removed, because it's sticky.
Ah! So you give it a...
It only heals the bug-type Pokemon who have it, but it's an item that cannot be removed at all, regardless.
Wait, what if...
On a normal type Pokemon, it doesn't heal, but it can't be removed. On a bug-type Pokemon, it can't be removed, and it heals.
What if, because Honey is genuinely nutritious, it does heal all Pokemon, but it doubles how much it heals for bug types?
That would literally make it a strictly better leftovers at that point. Or you would have to make it like 1/32nd healing, and at that point that's so negligible it might as well not heal.
Good point. Good point.
So I think just making it that it's leftovers for bug type Pokemon with the secondary effect that it's an item that cannot be removed.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I was just thinking about that because like honey is nutritious, but I suppose you can't live off of a diet of honey, unlike bees. So
It is a very actually a lot of animals are specifically evolved to only live off of honey.
yeah, so it's like because that's the thing because like honey is definitely like a superfood in nature. So it's like, well,
But like specifically, only really for bugs can live consistently off of it.
Yeah,
Like,
so
bears and anteaters are like one of the few animals that can like live off of insect food.
yeah, pretty much. So it's so yeah, its current effects are fine. It doesn't have to be 100% accurate to the law. But next up,
No, this wasn't really for like I could see it as a Moxie Heracross holding honey.
yeah, just because.
But like they're not running leftovers at this point, so I don't see it as like a huge need.
Nah, that's true. Oh boy.
But like as for other bulky bug type Pokemon, it could be a useful item.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be helpful for Fortress.
Could do. That would actually make a lot of sense. Oh boy, Sneasel is interesting because we have not one but two different evolved forms to talk about. See, in Hisui, Sneasel is a fighting poison type instead of a dark ice type. And at night, with a Razor Claw, normal Sneasel evolves into Weavile. But Hisuian Sneasel with a Razor Claw at night, or during the day, will evolve into Sneasler, which has Pressure and Poison Touch as its abilities.
Yep. Weavile and Sneasler. Well, Sneasler doesn't actually have abilities in the game. That's why this just has the same abilities as Weavile. But Weavile, I think, was originally one of the first non-legendary Pokemon to get Pressure as an ability.
Indeed. Actually, Weavile has access to Pickpocket as its ability, not Poison Touch.
Huh.
Still a really useful thing because it turns every contact move into Thief. So.
Yeah.
But Sneasler has a signature move in Dire Claw. This the user lashes out at the target with ruinous claws, aiming to land a critical hit. But it doesn't actually boost. It doesn't have a boosted critical hit chance. It instead has a 50% or 80% chance, if it's the strong style, to leave the target poisoned, paralyzed, or drowsy. And it has 60 base power and 100% accurate.
So it's a Tri-Attack Dark type move?
Poison type move, but yeah.
Tri-Attack Poison type move.
But with a much stronger chance for its effects to land.
Yeah.
And drowsy is kind of a really good answer to sleep because you can still move while you're drowsy, but there's just a chance that you'll sleep for a turn.
Yeah, it's paralyzed, but it lower. Yeah, it's paralyzed instead of frozen.
Yeah, and I think drowsy has other different effects, like it lowers defense as well. But the point is that it's still pretty strong. I don't think we don't know enough about Sneasler to be sure. I think Sneasler will be okay because it's got Dire Claw and it has pretty respectable stats: 120 base speed and 130 base physical attack, with 40 base special attack, 60 base physical defense, 80 base special defense, and 80 base HP, compared to Weavile, who has 125 base speed, 120 physical attack, 45 special attack, 85 special defense, 65 defense, and 70 HP. So, comparing the two, I think Sneasler's slightly slower. Yeah, it's slightly slower and loses in special defense and special attack, but it gains extra physical attack and extra HP. So it'll probably be comparable to Weavile. So where's Weavile at right now?
Weavile is in OU and Uber.
Oh, so maybe Sneasler will end up in UU because it's slightly slower. And if I look at, what is it, Poison Fighting?
The big thing is it has access to Triple Axle and Knockoff and one of the highest speed tiers in the game.
Yeah. What was it? Poison Fighting. It's the same typing as Toxicroak. Yeah, I see Sneasler ending up being in UU instead of OU because, alongside with all the move things and whatnot, Sneasler takes 4 times damage from Psychic type attacks and has a weakness to flying and ground.
Yeah, versus Darken Eyes has a 4 times weakness to fighting.
Yep.
But overall, it's mostly just weak to fighting and Steel and Rock as secondary weaknesses, but like,
and it has an immunity to Psychic, so as a way in. Whereas Sneasler's way in is a 4 times resistance to Bug. So Sneasler is probably going to end up being a worse version of Weavile, but that's okay.
Yeah, no, I mean having a Weavile that exists in like UU and stuff is not bad.
Absolutely.
But like having access to thing is also that it's going to be worse is that it probably will have a lot of the same moves as Weavile.
Yeah.
But the thing that makes Weavile so scary is it has Stab, Triple Axle, and Knockoff.
But
Sneasler won't have Stab in either of those things.
Nope. So again, I think it'll be fine. Where it is. All right. Frickin'
Ursa Ring.
More, and specifically its evolution, Ursa Luna, which is the peat Pokemon, like dirt. It has guts and unnerve, just like Ursa Ring, but instead of quick feet, Ursa Luna has bulletproof. Its signature move is Headlong Rush, a 100 base power, 100% accurate ground type move that is basically ground type close combat and is only learned by 2 Pokemon, Ursa Luna and Torterra.
Also, it's probably going to lower that power output because again, Arceus's attacks were like the power output was like cranked up in that game.
Well, it's been adjusted. Close combat lost some power, so I think they'll actually buff it up to make it ground type close combat.
Okay, so it's also normal ground in the game, isn't it?
Yep, it's the same. It's got the same typing as Diggersby.
Yeah. So normal ground, having access to Stab, ground-based superpower. Ground is one of the better offensive coverage moves.
Ground in general is just a really like flying type is immune and bug and grass resistant, but it hits 5 separate types for super effective damage.
Yeah.
So
and it's just like also giving you that electric immunity.
Mm-hmm. Grounded.
It's not really gonna care about bulletproof unless like I don't know what bullet moves are really good in the format.
Oh, we don't care about being immune to Energy Ball.
That's fair. Energy Ball is.
And so the moves that Ursa.
But like they're probably gonna want to run Guts. Just
maybe. I'm looking through the list and it's actually not bad.
Honestly, actually, the big thing is it actually kind of got a nerf because it no longer has access to Quick Feet. Because Quick Feet is actually the go-to ability for Ursa Ring instead of Guts.
Well, here's the thing.
Guts is actually the ability used back in Sun and Moon. But considering it has 55 speed, having Quick Feet bump that up to like an 80 speed is really necessary. Because if you're Gutsing 130 attack, that is overkill.
Well, here's the funny thing about that. Remember, when Ursa Luna becomes a thing, Ursa Ring is going to be able to use Eeveelite. And it has 90 base HP and 75 defenses.
Really interesting. I'm very curious if in PU, because Ursa Ring was in Sun and Moon, it wasn't in Sword and Shield. A Eeveelite, basically Eeveelite would be a better assault vest for it that allows her to use setup moves like Sword Stance.
Yep. And with Ursa Luna, it's got 140 physical attack, 130 HP, 105 defense, 45 special attack, 80 special defense, and 50 speed. So it doesn't actually lose that much speed. But what's interesting is that Ursa Luna, having bulletproof, gives it an immunity to several moves it really doesn't like running into as a ground normal type. Because here are the list of moves that are super effective normally that bulletproof would make Ursa Luna immune to. Aura Sphere, fighting type move. Bullet Seed, multi-hitting grass type move. Energy Ball, really strong special grass type move. Focus Blast, it's immune to. Ice Ball, it becomes immune to. Octazooka, it becomes immune to. It also becomes immune to Seed Bomb. And it also becomes immune to some really strong overall moves like Weather Ball, Sludge Bomb, Shadow Ball, Rock Wrecker, immunity to Acid Spray, Beak Blast, and even Egg Bomb. Giving this thing Bulletproof and an Assault Vest, you'd be hard pressed to kill Ursa Luna, I think. I think Ursa Luna might be one of those Hisuian forms that really brings the Ursa Ring line up into the big time.
I could definitely see this at least in Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh, or like, are you at the absolute worst? Because like it's ground normal, which ground is a great attacking type. The normal type provides an immunity to Ghost.
And also, it has the ground is resistant to fighting, so the Aura Sphere is just basically be hitting for neutral damage at that point.
No, ground does not. Wait, hold on, does it? Ground.
I thought ground resisted fighting.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, I was wrong.
What's important to note is that hold on, why? What? Yeah, ground one. Where's fighting? Yeah, fighting 1 times. Yeah, fighting is a weakness, is a move that is weak to, that it becomes immune to. Just like all of the grass type moves that it would become immune to, like Bullet Seed and more importantly,
Energy Ball.
Energy Ball, yeah. And while it's not really consequential because nothing really runs Ice Ball, being immune to an Ice type move and being immune to one of the more reliable ways to poison things off rip, plus immunity to Gyro Ball and most importantly immunity to Focus Blast.
Yeah.
Like genuinely, Bulletproof Ursa Luna might be one of the most terrifying tanks that will be coming to the game from Legends Arceus.
Fair enough.
This thing is scary.
And I do actually agree. I think Eeveelite Ursa Ring will make in PU will probably be like a dominant wall in PU.
Yeah, I really. Also, the thing gets play rough, which is interesting.
The weird thing though is that if you give it Eeveelite, it has to basically run Unnerve because Guts and Quick Feet can't do anything anymore.
Well, not strictly. If a Pokemon tries to status you, then they become situational, is what they are.
That's fair. That's fair. If you can predict the opponent is going to try to Will-O-Wisp or something to your Pokemon.
Yeah, I think Guts and Quick Feet will still see use over Unnerve in singles. But if for some reason Ursa Ring ever becomes popular in doubles, like if Eeveelite Ursa Ring really is that potent that doubles starts seeing it, then Unnerve will definitely see use because berries are everywhere in doubles. So, yeah, and that just about does it. I think we went to 2 hours instead of an hour and a half, but that's okay. We got through a lot of Pokemon. We've been talking a lot of Legends Arceus, so we made some pretty good headway. Next time we will be taking a look at well, for sure, I should say, some of the Pokemon we'll be looking at are Magcargo, Mamoswine, Cursula, because of Corsola, Octillery, and Delibird.
Oh, Delibird.
Oh god, it's going to be fun to look at you. Alright, don't forget to be awesome, my friends. We'll see you guys on the other side.
Bye-bye!